Oh yeah. Good morning, everybody. Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful to see you. It's Sunday. Where it's Valentine's Day, ladies and gentlemen. Would you have guessed it? Valentine's Day today. Lovely to see you. Let's wait for you for popping in. Someone's asked me to go over the 1666 stuff. 1666. All right, which is a couple of things many things was happening in 1666. We're going to be talking about that. This is a request video. I've been cutting up wood this morning. The log burner's going but that log burner to me this year, it's been like my best friend. It's really been good. It's going like just like a dream. It's fantastic. I've just cut me mate up a bag of kindling, and I've just texted him. I said, your order for your bag of kindling is now ready for collection. So we'll see what time he pops down to pick it up. He's got a log burner too, by the way. How you going, Marsh? All right, son, how's it going, love? Nice to see ya. Ian Sermon, hello, mate. Ian, yeah, come and join me on Thursday if you want to. I've not done my hair, done nothing. Look, peeps, I don't care what I look like. I don't care if I've got a beard on, whether my hair's long, whether my nose is big, whether my eyes ain't level, whether my glasses sit square in my face. I couldn't care. The only reason I come in and do these things is to empower you, so that you know all what's going on. Do you know what I mean? Happy Valentine's Day. Owen, got to be honest, son. If I was the other way, I reckon I'd stalk you. I do. I swear, you are such a good-looking chap. You'd be in proper trouble. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you'd have to fight me off. You would. It's lovely to see you, mate. All out on Valentine's Day. Yeah, Dave. Send me the flowers in the post. You know what I'm saying? Lovely. So I don't care what I look like. I don't come in here to be all glossy. I'm not like Naomi Campbell or any of these. I couldn't give a rat. I've had a message from Chico this morning. You remember Chico time? 1, 2, 3, Chico time. What time is it? Chico time. Yeah, my old mate Chico's been on this morning. He's a lovely geezer. Let me tell you, he's all Moroccan and he's just gorgeous. He made me salivate yesterday. He showed me a picture of a menu that he just cooked up in a tagine. I've been to Morocco as well. I had a fantastic time out there. Beautiful people, actually. I went in all the souks. We did Marrakesh. Great tune that, wasn't it, Marrakesh? Yeah, really, really interesting. Good time. So listen, this morning, ladies and gentlemen, look, and there's one thing I want to explain to you, right? We're in times now where we've got a certain group of people coming at us in our country that seem to be under the illusion, and it is just an illusion, that they own us. And it's really hard for me to try and even for a second get my head around that they would deem to own us. Do you know what I mean? What's no man can own another. No way. I'm running low. Yeah, mate, you should be. I'll be all over you. I'm telling you. But luckily for you, son, I'm not. I'm a very rare individual nowadays of being the straight foundation and finding the female form quite a mystery, to be fair. The female form has always been a bit of a mystery to me. And probably many others of you. So yeah, we're going to be talking about the SESCAV. I'm going to be doing some screen sharing. We're going to be talking about the Great Fire of London, which was a long time ago in medieval England. Medieval London, when we used to throw our effluent out the window. Lord, you didn't want to be walking underneath them buildings at the time, where people used the word F-U-C-K all the time. Ladies, I imagine you've had a big sack of post come this morning, Owen. I imagine you have. I imagine there's cards galore popping through your letterbox. Jenny Saunders, hello, darling. How are you? Nice to see you. Beautiful to see you. Thanks for tuning in, peeps. Alison Goulding, roll call. Check me out. It's beautiful to see you. So, yeah, 1666, when it all started to go a little bit Pete Tong tits up for us, all right? So, like I say, I'm a working geezer, right? I work with my hands. I'm good with my hands. You know what I'm saying? Ooh. And make of that what you will. So, I'm someone that's come into the world. I haven't had a silver spoon in my mouth. And I'm just real. I'm earthy. I am what I am. And I can't know things without sharing it. I have to share these things and these revelations with you, Lord. I really do. Because when you look at it, we come into the world, our parents don't know. We go through school, we're told we're little slaves and minions, and we do this and we do that. And we're taught at school, really, to be good little minions and how to go out in the world and keep paying your taxes and doing this and doing that. But it's an illusion. It's not real. Now, that might be really difficult for a lot of you to understand. It got to be. It's not. When I found out, it hit me like a sack of spuds. Let me tell you. Let's move about a bit because it's hard to see me. That's better. A little bit better now. I ain't even done my hair this morning. Hang on, I just got to turn my charger on. Oh, got to turn my charger on. So, yeah, this one's called SESKV, Great Fire of London, and we're going to be getting into what happened on the Great Fire of London, right? That ain't really much better, is it, really? Is that any better? No, a little bit. Just bear with us. Let's plug that in. That's it. We're not going to conk out now. So the only truth in the world is this book. It's the only truth. Everything else it can be questioned. We can argue. You know, a judge says to you, did you see that black bird on that fence pick that sparrow off? Yeah, I did. Are you sure? Yeah, well, we're not. It's all circumstantial. We can all be questioned on our beliefs. Do you believe in God? Yeah, I do. Yeah. Well, you can question a belief. Are you religious? Yeah. Well, a religion means to rebind, a rebinding of a thing. All right. So we have to be very careful of. But if you said to a judge, sorry, judge, I'm under the covenant by my heavenly Father, well, that's a different story. Well, that's a different gravy right there. That is proper gravy. Now, on my front door, I have. Let's take you out and show you. Let's take you out and show you what I've got on my front door. I'm going to unplug you for a second. Come with me. Come with me. So this is as you enter my house, right? My house, as Mickey Flanagan would say. This is when you come into the ivory tower. All right, here we go then, peeps. Thanks for tuning in. Lovely to see you. Right, so we're out in the kitchen. Here we go. Bosh. So as you come in, this is what you see. Straight away. Bosh. Yeah. Bomb. And it's not for debate, it's the law. The Ten Commandments is the law. Oh, you're one of them religious people. No, it's the law. It's the law, peeps. What don't we understand about the law? The law's the law. There's only one lawgiver. All right. Now I'm here to bring these truths to you, whether you like them or you don't. The truth is the truth. It's immovable. It's immovable. You can't move the truth, and the truth is the truth. And the truth is a fact. And the fact is that the word of God is your inheritance. And it's what you should all be being led back to. Not to be religious, not to be, oh, I'm spiritual, darling. No. You're supposed to come back to the, look at that, it's even worse, isn't it? You're supposed to come back to the law, all right? And that is the law. So anyway, we're going to do a bit of screen sharing now, ladies and gentlemen. Bear with me. Auntie Mandy. I imagine, no, look, is wisdom, is knowledge, is truth and power. Auntie Mandy fixed her own boiler the other week. She got the spares. She did. She read up instructions. See, she went and learned. She researched. She did it all. She's now got a warm house and she fixed her own boiler. Now, I wouldn't condone that if she was touching all the gas supply and that. That's a slightly different subject, but tread carefully and know your parameters and you can't go too far wrong. And she's now toasting in her greatness because she's got a warm house. All right, she's got a warm house. Well, there is right property. We don't own our properties no more. We give them away. We give them away. We used to, Cayman. We used to, and you just made a really valid point there. We used to. We all used to. It used to be the doctrine of the ruined tenement. I'll find it for you, right? Hang on. The ruined tenement, and we're going to read the ruined tenement. I'm going to show you the chronicle. So let's have a look what the ruined tenement has to say. To the right of the ruined tenement. That's not it. Just bear with me. We're going to get into this in a second anyway. Lord Denning on freedom under law. The ruined tenement. Right. But we have a situation today where, right, I found it. Okay, now let me come back into, where am I? I'm in StreamYard, aren't I? Here we go. We're in StreamYard. Right, so we're going to have a little share up. We're going to do some sharing with you this morning. Let's just share screen. 2 shakes of a cat's whisker. I'm doing this on request. Someone's asked me to explain the SKV and to explain all sorts of different bits and bobs. All right. So first of all, I want to go to the Great Fire of London. Okay. Now, in 1666, if you look at the date there, you can see my cursor. If you take the 1 off, you're left with 666. Now, I don't want you to be alarmed, but what I want you to understand is that 666 is the chemical makeup of man. It's the carbon, because carbon is 6-part proton, 6-part electron, 6-part neutron. How I ever come into this knowledge and awareness, Lord only knows. I've got no idea where it come from. It comes from great people like yourself, showing me information, learning me, and most of it has stuck in my mind. It really, really has. So if we take the 1 off, we've got 666, and it happened on the 6th of September. How's about that? So the Great Fire of London was a major conflagration that swept through the central parts of London from Sunday the 2nd of September till Thursday the 6th. The fire gutted the medieval city of London, which weren't a bad thing, inside the old Roman city wall, all right, because the Romans set up London, and it was called Londinium. And here you can see clearly it was called Londinium when the Romans were there. Where are you off to, son? I'm off to Londinium. Gosh, get me some fish and some salt while you're there. Have some of that. That's where the word salary comes from. Salt, because salt is a preservative and a bringer of life. Without salt, we'd all struggle. So the London Wall was the defensive wall first built around the Romans in Londinium. They're strategically important port town, the River Thames, in what's now London, England. Remember, it don't say the UK, ladies and gentlemen. It says England, all right? Yes, we'll get into that. The UK is a company, a fiction. It's not real. And the Mayor of London now calls London the metropolis. And you can tell me what film that the word metropolis comes from. So it's the City of Westminster, West End, Charles II's Palace of Whitehall, of the most suburban slums. We used to have great slums, ladies and gentlemen, in England. Our slums were the best slums ever in the world, probably topping African slums, because we were the founder of slums, I would say. I'm only kidding. It destroyed 13,200 houses, 87 parish councils, churches, St Paul's Cathedral, the most building city authorities. It is estimated to have destroyed the home of 70,000 and of the city 80,000 inhabitants. So we had 70,000 homes, right? And we only had 80,000 inhabitants. Wow. That means that there weren't really many people per household, was there? So we look here, the fire started in a bakery after midnight on Sunday the 2nd of September, and it spread rapidly. The use of the major firefighting techniques at the time, which was probably leeches and cod pieces, the creation of a fire break. So what they did, they went round with demolition and they blew up certain streets, and it stopped the flames licking from house to house to house, because houses back then, as I said, you had an underpass where you walked and you didn't walk out of it because people used to throw their slops out the window, used to get into the gutter, and it used to sit there and run away, and that's where you get all your diseases and pestilences. And then we had a clean up later on, because we had a guy called Crapper who designed the toilet, and we also had a guy, I can't think what his name was, that designed the sewage system in London and took most of the turds out into the estuary and the river, which cleaned up all of a lot of diseases back then. I'm trying to think of the one, typhus, not typhus. What was it? Oh, well, dysentery, all that sort of stuff, yeah, which comes from bad sanitation and disease and flies and you name it, it was all there. I hope you're not having your breakfast. It's only 11:31. By the time the large-scale demolitions were ordered on Sunday night, the wind had already fanned the bakery into a firestorm, which defeated such measures. The fire pushed north Monday in the heart of the city. Order in the streets broke down. as rumours aroused suspicion foreigners setting fires. I don't think it was the case. Personally, I've got to be honest with you, I think it was government that did it. Yeah, on the orders of the Pope. Now, you can make that what you like, but I truly believe that to be the case. Because 666 is big numbers to the Vatican. And if you look at the Vatican, the head of the Vatican is the shape of a snake and it has two eyes and all that. And outside you have beach combs, stone beach combs in the walls, which signifies the pineal gland. So they've done a lot of lynchings, right? Substantial immigrants groups become victims of lynchings. We had lynches. Look, they used to hang them out. Look, oh, poor buggers. So here we go. Lynching is an extrajudicial killing by a group. So you're not getting your just normal judicia. You're getting extras. Read all about it. So this was people coming together, acting as the judiciary at the time of itself, and killed by a group. It was the most often used to characterise in full public executions by a mob in order. As you can see, they're hung over the trees. As a transgressor, look at the words they're using. Transgressor, punish a convicted transgressor or intimidate. So yeah, we see a poor geezer there being strung up, hung off 2 foot off the deck for allegedly starting a Great Fire of London. Personally, I don't think it was. I think it was the Pope. I think it was by government. All right, and we're going to get right into that in a second. So Charles II caught at Whitehall, and it threatened Charles II's court at Whitehall, coordinating firefighting efforts. I could just see the firefighters back then in the days. My God, they couldn't have had a Scooby-Doo. They must have just stood there and watched it all go. And then someone came up and said, we got to knock some houses down. That's the only way we're going to put this out with gunpowder. And they did. But a lot of damage done. Efforts were simultaneously getting underway. The battle to put out the fire is considered to have been won by 2 key factors. The strong east wind dropped, and the Tower of London garrison used gunpowder to create effective fire breaks, halting further spread eastwards. The death toll is unknown, but what I want to also say is there is prior to 1666. Okay, if your name was Edward Hanrahan, Hanratty, that's what your name would have been. You never had any titles. You never had Mr., Mrs., Ms., Doctor. You never had that, because titles are fictions. All right. You was Paul Smith. You was John Smith. You didn't have a title, and you had dominion. All right, under God's covenant. And what you had to do, which we're going to get into a second, is you had to prove that you was alive, and you had to prove that you lived in Tottenham or Edgware or wherever you lived, and you said, that's my house, that's my wife, that's my kids, bosh. And then the government went, thanks for letting us know you're alive, sweet as a nut. And we're going to get into that in a second. So there's a melted piece of pottery on display at the Museum of London. All right, so there's it's got a potter's thingy from the, I don't know what it's got to do with, created in the 1960s and 70s to redevelop a bomb-damaged area. Found by archaeologists in Pudding Lane where the fire first started, showing that the temperatures reached 1250 degrees C, which is quite tasty. It's quite warm. The social and economics problems created by disaster were overwhelming. It's far worse than the coronavirus. Flight from London and settlements elsewhere were strongly encouraged by Charles II, who feared a London rebellion among the dispossessed refugees. Various schemes for rebuilding the city were proposed. Some of them were very radical after the fire. London was reconstructed on essentially the same medieval street plan as which still exists today. All right, so this is what happened in the Great Fire of London. As you can see there, you've got the fire there. Everyone used to run down to the river. These are all people here, all out their houses. They're all living down by the river for safety. The Great Fire of London, depicted by an unknown painter in 1675, as it would have been appeared from a boat in the vicinity of Tower Wharf on evening of Tuesday, 4th of September, 1666. To the left is London Bridge, which is, we've got the modern London Bridge today. To the right, we've got the Tower of London, and we've also got St Paul's Cathedral in the distance, surrounded by the tallest flame. St Paul's Cathedral has actually got off a few times with some scrapes, isn't it? It got off during the Second World War quite sweetly. So yeah, so that's basically what happened. The Great Fire of London started in Pudding Lane. Now I can remember in the 70s, me and my brother and my granddad, my mum's dad, uh, and by the way, all these things were free. You didn't have to pay. You just walked in, you went up the top, you come back down. Because that's what makes this country great. When all these attractions are free, you can just go and walk around, all right? And I can remember running round the spiral staircase up to the top to the gallery, which had metal railings. None of it was encased because back then we never wanted to kill ourselves. We never really wanted to jump off buildings. And my granddad got halfway up. We went, right, I'll see you lads at the top because he was getting a bit puffed out. Bring back the tower. Joseph Balaguetti designed the sewers, mate. Bosh, there's Del Boy. Look, we've got Del Boy in the room. He's got his beautiful profile picture on there. Derek Trotter, independent, TIT trading. Tit trading, beautiful. How do you know what happened? No, I'm just putting Pushkin Castle. Just putting two and two together. As I am a Londoner, living in Kent now, so did used to travel lots of London, round the back of Southwark and Bermondsey and all that as a kid. And my families used to tell me all sorts of stories. My granddad used to tell me some fantastic stories, stuff that would chill your bones. Bring back the towers. Bring back the gallows too, says Merv. Maybe. Yeah. So you're alive by all your actions. You are. You're alive by your actions. Of course you are. So we've just seen what happened. The Great Fire of London ended on September the 6th, 1666. And we're going to now look into what Parliament did. All right, because someone's asked me to do this video this morning. They've said, Dave, can you explain to us all about the SKV, what happened, where it will come from? Now, I can only bring you my understandings of it because obviously I wasn't back there and I wasn't there. But going back to my dad's childhood, he's told me that when he was at school in Peckham years ago, he's in his late 70s now. He would be, 78. He said that when they was at school, they were taught civil liberties. They were taught how to be proper. They were taught that they was English. They were taught how to be, and what happens if you do bad things. And that's why that generation have got a bit of a bulletproofness about them, because they were taught what was right and wrong. Our kids ain't taught what's right and wrong now. They're not taught what's right and wrong. And that's the major difference. This has all happened for a reason. We're heading very, very swiftly into communism. We really, really are. And we've got to be very careful because we've got a group of people in this country in uniform now that think they own us, that are barking their orders from their puppet masters. But the truth is that no man can be owned. You can't be owned. And they're operating in a world of deceit and lies. Their legal system is a system of deceit and lies. And we have to say, no, thank you, because all men are created equal under our Creator. This is his law. And we have the right to live by that and abide by that. We can't be owned. Oh, there goes another bit of snow off the roof. Just keeps scaring me every time it slips. Right, so now we're going to get into, we'll have a quick look at Lord Denning. All right. Let's come back in here. I don't know if I'm screen sharing. Let's screen share. Right, so the late, great Lord Denning was a very outspoken, I would say he's probably one of the last English judges that we had that used to abide by the law and not legal and illegal. He was, I would say that Lord Denning was a lawful judge. And Lord Denning was considered wacky, a bit out there, but it was good. He was a good man. So Lord Denning says, on freedom under law, the poorest man may in his cottage bid defiance to all the forces of the crown. It may be foul, its roof may shake, the wind may blow through it, the storm may enter, the rain may enter, but the King of England cannot enter. All his force dares not cross the threshold of the ruined tenement. So be it, unless he has justification by law. Okay, and that was Lord Denning, and that's case law. Okay, this is from a case, Southern versus Smelt, 1964, 1 Queen's Bench, QB Queen's Bench, 308 at 320. I thought Lord Denning was a pretty decent dude, but this is the ruined tenement, okay? So it says, unless he has justification by law. Well, illegal and legal is not law. They're just acts of parliament, ladies and gentlemen, and we really do need to be paying attention to that, okay? Right. So this is understanding the SES-KV Act of 1666. All right. Now, this is what this video is about this morning. You need to know what you live in. It's like if you was to get into an aeroplane and you'd never been in an aeroplane, and one of your mates says, "Right, fire up the engines, take me to Tobago." You'd crap yourself. You'd be like, "Well, I don't know how to fly a plane. What are you chatting about? No, come on, you can fly this. Get us out there." And if you tried it, you'd have to have a massive leap of faith to even attempt it. You'd be so scared you wouldn't even press any buttons because you don't know what to expect and what's coming next. Same with a car. You've never driven a car. You've only ever sat in the passenger seat. Someone says, "Jump in that and take me on so-and-so." You what? Hang on a minute. Now, when you're looking at cars and you have to have all these MOTs, taxes and insurances, that's in the overlay system. That's in the legal and illegal system. In the lawful system, you have the right to travel from point A to point B, provided you don't hurt anyone, by any means that you see fit, because the roads are yours, ladies and gentlemen. They're part of your inheritance. And this is your inheritance. And I'm not here to tread on the government and that, but I'm here to bring them back to book. And you should be screaming to bring them back to book. And when people like me stand up and say, "No, enough's enough, back to the truth we go," not only are we standing up for our rights and the rights of our families, but we're standing up for you and your future generations, because we're holding the line. We're holding the fort. We're saying, "No, thank you. We're not having it." And knowledge separates the masters from the slaves. That's the truth. That's a given. So, understanding the SES-KV of 1666, evidence of life, SES-KV, and it's pronounced Sedeke. Don't ask me why. And this means, SES-KV means he who lives. He who lives, okay? London 1666, during the Black Plague and the Great Fire of London, a couple of great, fantastic things going on back then, makes the coronavirus look very second rate. Parliament enacted an act behind closed doors. And the other thing as well is we're still all here today, right? Yeah, all the Black Plague and the Great Fire of London. Can you imagine the vibration of the people back then? Throw out your dead. Well, can't. My house is on fire. What's the fucking matter with you? Can you imagine how their vibration must have been? But they dug in. They got on with it. They didn't let it get them down. And as a consequence, we are the living heirs of these people. They're our ancestors. They got through it. They didn't all have a panic and an hissy fit and go and watch CBN. They got on with it. That's what we need to do. We need to have their bulletproof mentality. Yes, they were throwing out their dead. Yes, their houses were being trashed, but they got on with it. They rebuilt. They got bigger. They got stronger. That's what you have to do. So Parliament enacted an act behind closed doors called the SES-KV Act of 1666. The act being debated was to subrogate the rights of men and women, meaning all men and women were declared dead, lost at sea, beyond the sea. Back then, operating in Admiralty law, the law of the sea, so lost at sea. So you're declared dead, lost at sea. And I hope when I say these things that you think, what can't be true. And I don't want you to take anything I say to be truthful. I want you to go and do your own research. I want you to say, right, he said this. Let me go and have a research. Because you need to stand on solid foundations, ladies and gentlemen. And we're in time periods, ladies and gentlemen, now, right? Now, I know that I was in the last however long, I've been lawful. I've been living under God's law. But I've had the police still come round here and enforce things in my property with weapons of war against my will. Why? Because they're a tyranny and they're breaking the law. They don't know the law. They're fascists. But what are you going to do when a man or a woman stood there with mace spray, tasers and all that? And there's 8 of them. When you say the old bill ain't coming in my house, they're coming in your house if they want to, because they're tyrants, they're tyranny, they're breaking the ruined tenement, they're They're working on orders. They don't qualify the orders. They're barbaric, vicious, violent people. And I want you to know that. And it breaks my heart to even say that men and women in my country that I consider brothers and sisters would do this to one another and us. I find it wholly disgraceful. So the state London took custody of everybody and their property into a trust. The state became the trustee, husband, cooee, holding all titles to the people and the property until a living man come back to claim those titles. He can also claim damages. When capital letters are used anywhere in a name, this refers to a legal entity, fiction, company or corporation. No exceptions, e.g. John Doe or Doe Jane. SESKV, pronounced Setake, common terms in New Zealand, Australia. Straw man, common term in the United States, America and Canada. These are the legal entity fictions created and owned by the government. Who created it? It is like owning a share in the stock market. You may own a share, but it is still a share of the stock. Legally, we are considered to be a fiction, a concept or idea expressed as a name, a symbol that legal person has no consciousness. It is a juristic person, a word written on a piece of paper. This traces back to 1666. London is an independent city vassal state. Just like the Vatican is an independent city-state, just like Washington, D.C. is an independent city-state. The City of London, the Vatican and Washington make up the trust because they all cover different elements. This is the financial element. This is the spiritual element. And these keep the bookkeepings and distribute the currencies around the world. It all comes from press print in Washington, D.C. Your money you get out the cash machine today, the banknotes that you get with the slave tokens written on them, is all pressed and printed by the Federal Reserve. The Crown is an unincorporated association. Why unincorporated? Because it's private. The Temple Bar is in London. Every lawyer called to the bar swears allegiance to the Temple Bar. You can't get called without swearing this allegiance. So if you ever ask a solicitor, are you working for me, the man today, or are you working for the fiction, and do you swear an oath to the bar? He's got to tell you the truth. Yeah, of course. My first priority is to the court, he says. And he can't step outside of that. Our only way out of this is to reclaim your dead entity straw man that the Crown created, becoming the executor, and then collapse the SESKV trust and forgive yourself of your debts, as Jesus said, and then remove yourself from the Admiralty law that holds you in custody. Boom. When London burned, the subrogation of men and women's rights occurred. The Responsible Act passed, SESKV 1666. All men and women of the UK were declared dead, lost at sea and beyond the seas. The state took everybody and everybody's property into trust. The state take control until a living man or woman comes back and claims their title by proving they're alive, and claims for damages can be made. This is why you always need representation when involved in legal matters, because you're dead. The legal fiction is a construct on paper, an estate in trust. When you get a bill or a summons from court, it is always in capital letters, similar to tombstones in graveyards. Capital letters signify death. They are right into the dead legal fiction. A legal fiction was created when someone informed the government that there was a new vessel in town based upon your birth. You was born, people. You wasn't birthed. Birth certificates are issued to us by the doctor. Just as ships are given birth certificates at the dock, it's about commerce. We come from our mother's waters. Your mother has a birth canal, just like a ship. The ship moves by the sea current, just as we are able to be moved by the current sea. All this information relates to how the general public are still legally tied through a maritime admiralty law. Through the ancient legal construct, we can be easily controlled and duped. Learning about your legal fiction helps you to unlock yourself. Otherwise, you are just an empty vessel floating on the sea of commerce. Parents are tricked into registering the births of their babies. It's happened to all of us. In about 1837, the Births, Deaths and Marriages Act was formed in the UK, and the Postal Registrar General was established. His job was to collect all the data from the churches, which was held by records of birth. We always used to go and take our kids to church, and we would be in the births, deaths and records of the church, not this big state thing. Regis, the queen or the crown. Now, in fairness, we're the crown. if we're under this book, all right? Because the crown is the father. All people are seen to be in custody of the crown. This allows people to function in commerce and to accept the benefits provided by the state. We have to understand who we are as men and women and how we can relate in the system. The City of London is a centre for markets. I'm doing this because someone's asked me to get into the legal system and how it all works, all right, and explain the SESKV. That's what I'm doing here today. When merchants work, then there is mercantile law. It comes from Admiralty law. Look at the symbols in the city courts. They relate to Admiralty. So when you have commerce and money, you also have justice and injury. You need to understand the bankruptcy before you can understand the judiciary. We have accepted the claim to accept the summons, yet only the dead can be summoned. There is an obligation to accept the liability which has been created. You can only summons the dead. Yeah, that's all you can do. That's when Jesus returns, he's going to summons the dead first. We are operating in Admiralty and not guilty plea or any plea admits jurisdiction. So it don't matter if you're guilty or not guilty, you're admitting that they've got jurisdiction over you. And the sheer fact that the body is there, hang on a second, got to fire this up. The sheer fact that the body is there, all flaws and faults in the laws are corrected at that moment in time. Okay? You have to understand that. You really do. 2 shakes of a cat's whisker, just firing up the log burner. And we'll be back. Right, here we go. Sorry about that. So, if you enter a not guilty or a guilty plea, you've said you're the straw man. Okay, the legal fiction is always guilty. Barristers and solicitors make a living out of creating controversy. See, this is a fact. This is a fact. Their system is controversy. Okay, by creating a controversy, you become liable for the case. Honour and dishonour, which is all that their system is about. I accept on proof of claim and proof of loss that gives back liability to them. Right, honour and dishonour. To remain in honour, you have to accept a claim and settle to discharge it. Then you add conditions, i.e. I accept on proof of claim and proof of loss. This gives them back liability. The legal fiction is always guilty, right? Trust me, the legal fiction is always guilty. Only in the High Court can a real man or woman appear. Now, I would argue with that and say even there, even the highest court of judiciary in this country, the Old Bailey, is still only really and truthfully dealing in fictions. Games are played on courts, hence the name court. It is a game with actors acting on acts. It has to be treated as a game and just business. Courtroom dramas are misinformation. In the public, we are operating in bankruptcy and you receive benefits. It takes a lot of time, effort and study to understand the use of these tools. You have to be prepared to go fully through the process, get the right tools out your toolbox at the right times. People need to learn how to act as a creation of God rather than a creation of man. Evidence of life, entitled to payment. I've got one of them, which is filled out and signed by the doctor. So you've got right super suspension and corruption, SESKV. So SESKV Trust, also known later as the fiduciary, Fied Commissionary Trust, and later as a Foreign Situs Trust, and also known as a form of secret trust, is a fictional concept being a temporary testamentary trust. This is a really nice bit of document, actually, by the way. If you ever want to download this, this is by societyandnature.org. This is really good. Really, really good. So, canon, the original purpose and function of the SESKV Trust was a form, testamentary estate, and for the benefit of another, because some event, state or affairs or conditions prevented them from claiming their status as living, competent and present before a competent authority. Therefore, any claims, history, statutes or arguments that deviate in terms of the origin and the function of the SESKV Trust as pronounced by these canons is false and automatically null and void. SESKV Trust may only exist for 70 years, being the traditional accepted life expectancy of the estate. So after 70, you come back to life again. Don't know if you know that. So, a brief overview of it all. The Romans used to have 8 days a week, did they? You'd be better off telling them you own the fiction. Speaking about Delroy, well, you're living, breathing soul, right? The Bible says that the person is for you to navigate through life so no harm comes to the spirit and soul. That's a really good, powerful thing. YouTube not allowing me to watch it. The video keeps spinning. Adorma Korma. Oh, mate. What's all that about? So, yeah, I thought I'd pop in here this morning. It is Valentine's Day. I'm going to go and have a cup of tea and that with Mrs. now. Hope you found it informative. And if you want any more on any subject, just let me know. More than happy to cover them. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, peace out, love, stay warm, stay safe, stay blessed.